most publishers have a submissions portal where you just write, at info at whatever, Simon and Schuster or whatever the publisher is, those who take unsolicited manuscript ideas. And I didn't hear anything back. It just fell into the slush pile of the void there. And I moved on, I did something else. And then I thought, you know what? That's a really good publisher. I'm going to try again. But this time I went on LinkedIn and I looked for the editors, and I didn't send it to the info at. And the editor answered me in a matter of 60 seconds.
Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, the Going North podcast, where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. You'll leave with at least one new piece of inspiration or information to help you keep going north. Now let's get on with the show. Today's review highlight comes from a past guest, Eleni Fouaxis herself, and is titled, What a Blast. Dom is such a great listener and made me feel at ease immediately. He asks thought-provoking, unique questions and showed genuine interest in my children's book series. He genuinely strives to bring out the best in all of his guests and serve his audience. His kind heart and humor is infectious. There was so much gem-dropping wisdom. It was so inspiring. Thank you so much, Eleni. We're going to put a link to that episode in the show notes. And if you too want your review highlighted in the future on this podcast, head over to goingnorthpodcast.com or your favorite podcast player. Leave a review and we'll read it aloud for everyone to hear. Now let's continue on to the content train. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, is the Going North podcast. And we got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of podmatch.com, baby. That's right, indeed. Our podcast guest gets to reach out to podcast hosts, and if they qualify, they freaking win. And today's show is going to be a win because today's featured guest, folks, is a best-selling author, folks, of over 20 books. You heard that right, folks, 20 books. That's right, indeed. So drinking age surpassed soon, y'all, because she is an expert in creative advertising, branding, graphic design, and social media, and has been called a creativity guru. And she holds the title of Distinguished Professor of the Michael Graves College at Kean University, and the Carnegie Foundation lists her among the greatest teachers of our time, folks. That's right, indeed. So we got the cream of the cream on top. So let's give it up for the radiant and lovely Robin Landa. How you doing today, Robin?
I'm doing great. I'm so thrilled to be with you. I just think you're fabulous, Dom. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
It's a pleasure having you on. You're like the first ever guest on the show to have the title of Distinguished Professor. So my goodness, how did that happen?
I think that they finally realized that the way to keep me quiet was to give me a really nice title and to keep me from complaining. No, it has to do with how much you publish and how widely you're published and publisher perish, that sort of thing.
Some listening may be like, ouch. All right, publisher perish is like, oh, can I
Yes,
get this one book out?
Yes, that's how academia is. It's really about how much you publish, who publishes what you write, how distinctive the publishers are, how widely cited your work is. So that, like, let's say if I write something and you write something and then you quote me, that would be great. That's a great citation for me. So it's all it's in its own little world of academia that's kind of peculiar to most people outside of college and university faculty life.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you're so right now, especially nowadays where fact checking is basically a huge thing. It's like on steroids now compared to back then, because like so many things can be just mocked up and found almost anywhere online, and people just really just take it at face value and believe it and don't even think about what they actually read.
Oh, absolutely. And we really do make sure that our students understand the difference between fact and opinion, the difference between information and misinformation. And it's a battle because so many websites promulgate misinformation. So we really try to make sure our students understand the difference.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. So that way when they bite into an actual apple pie, they won't call it a blueberry muffin. That's right indeed.
Yes, absolutely. They know the difference between their pies and their muffins. Absolutely.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Well, speaking of students and misinformation, since it's your first time on the show, I usually like to ask folks to give their backstory of how they got to where they are today, so that way they know where you're coming from since you're this almighty expert with all this content. So, am I filling listeners in on who is the Radiant Robin herself?
Well, thank you so much. It's a pretty simple story. Well, actually, I wanted to be a dancer, but my parents sort of squashed that early on. And you have to do that early on in order for it to really work professionally. But I've always been interested in all of the arts and the visual arts. And I drew fashions as a child and really wanted to be in some level of some aspect of design. And I studied art and design and art history. And I was in the industry at working as an art director and then creative director at advertising agencies. But when I started teaching, I really found my calling because I love talking about these disciplines and I love seeing my students find gainful employment in the creative fields. Anecdotally, my program has 98% employment, which is extraordinary. And I have so many students who are art directors, creative directors, strategists, copywriters, doing great work out there. And we, at the university, we have a very diverse student population, and many of them are first generation college students. So I think it's really, I love working with the diversity of people. It's just so enlightening and just what I love every student.
That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right. That student love indeed. That's right indeed. Their love for learning and growing and getting better and not better. That's right indeed. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. So my goodness. So since the dancing dream was squashed, but you could still do the mumbo to this day, which is freaking awesome. So my goodness, what led you to the whole advertising and branding as an alternative?
I studied fine art and I studied all kinds of visual arts. And when I got my first job in visual communication, I just loved coming up with ideas. And advertising is completely idea driven. You have to have really good ideas and you have to have a lot of them every day because you can't just present one idea to a client. You have to present many ideas to a client. And often a client says, no, thank you. And then you go back and you have to produce more ideas. And I love generating ideas and I love design. I love form, I love shape, I love color, I love creating things. So it was just a great fit for me. And now that a lot of advertising is purpose driven, and Gen Z really wants to make sure that they align their values with brands who are doing something good for the world, it's even more exciting for me.
Yeah, that's right indeed. That magical excitement indeed. So my goodness, so speaking of excitement, being able to create so many ideas, like what keeps you creative? Is it the dancing on the side or is it something else?
Well, yeah, dancing. I dance almost every day. I mean, as much as I can now. Since lockdown, I've done a lot of it in my own living room. But yeah, dancing really helps, and writing really helps, and being a consultant and helping brands and companies come up with really good ideas, and teaching, because I have to sit with each student and work with them and make sure their ideas are spot on. And it's just a wonderful process to keep your mind active, I mean, on every front. And then, of course, there's reading and books and film and TV. I love great television programs that just make me want to be more creative.
That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Yeah, because definitely the reading itself, that's definitely good too. And then the TV, it's like, hey, it may be borderline hypnosis at times, but then you can still get some great ideas from it. So, do you have any specific habits that take it to the next level, or is it just, what, let go with the flow day by day?
Well, I have a process that's in my book, The New Art of Ideas. I introduce a new ideation process. It's the first idea generation process since Alex Osborne introduced brainstorming in 1953.
Oh, wow.
And it's very actionable. It's very easy to remember, and it's really actionable, and it works because I've taught literally thousands of people to generate worthwhile ideas. And the process is, there are 3 G's. There's goal, gap, and gain. And most people think that a goal is an idea, but it's not. It's just the start. It's something you want to achieve. You have to consider a gap for the idea to be worthwhile. So for example, what's missing in any field? What group of people are not being served or underserved or being ignored? What's been under-researched? What's not yet been interpreted? What's not been made clear? What would move a discipline forward? And there are so many endemic problems, people who are unsheltered, world hunger, lack of clean water, extreme weather, sustainability, affordable housing. There are so many issues that have gaps that a good idea can fill or solve. And then the way to test your goal and your gap is to decide if there's a gain, if there's some benefit for people, for the planet, for creatures in what you want to do in your idea.
Yeah, that's right. 3 G's to get you 3 G's aboard, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That goal, gap, and gain. That's right indeed. Cause yeah, it's so right. It's like goals, like yay, hooray, goals, yay! I got goals. I get to be a goalie. It's an idea. Like no, it's not an idea. Cause it's like, hey, that's just a goal. That's just like a point of where you want to be. It's like you gotta get to the goal. Indeed, you gotta fill up that gap. Indeed, with those ideas. That's right. Indeed, you gotta metaphorically fill those cavities.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really thinking about not just profit, but what we call the triple bottom line: people, profit, and the planet. So doing more good than just earning money for a company or yourself. Always thinking about what else, what's in it for people, what's in it for the planet, what's in it for animals, what's in it for creatures.
Yeah, that's right. That triple P, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right. She's got all the alliteration today, y'all. The G's and the P's. That's right indeed.
Yes, I am. Yes, and I'm the queen of acronyms too, I've been told. Yes.
Oh, sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Any favorite acronyms in this new book to look forward to?
Well, in my other book, in Strategic Creativity, I have a whole bunch of them. So, for example, strategic creativity relies on choice thinking, and the C is for context, for how it fits into people's lives, for an appropriate perspective. The H is for being humanistic, for being a humanitarian, really thinking about people, being people-centered. The O is about observation, as I pointed out to you about you, you're before we began, that you're really good at observation. You have to be really good at observation to find an insight into people in order to get a good idea. And the I is for interesting solutions, because there's so much going on 24/7. People can engage in any kind of entertainment and information all day and all night, that if you don't do something interesting, nobody's going to be attracted to it. Nobody's going to look at it. It's going to just fall flat. It's not going to cut through everything. And then the other C is for content. You have to give people something, whether it's information, education, entertainment. They don't just want to be sold. They want to get something from you. And then the E is for empathy, because that's what it's all about. That's what I feel like my whole life is about, is empathize, as I think you do from what I've read about you, Dom, that it's really about what you, Dom, do for others, right? And empathy is really understanding other people and understanding your audience and seeing what they need and what they desire and how what you can do, how your idea can fulfill that. So that's choice thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed, that choice thinking, y'all. That's right, indeed. A long one too. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. A good long one. That's right. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. Because yeah, you're right about the observation thing. It's like so true. It's like, hey, you can't just really walk around with your eyes closed all day. Metaphorically speaking.
Right. And actually, there was just an article, a study done, an article about it in the New York Times, that really being someone who observes mindfully can ward off senility. That when you pay close attention, your brain is working better, more and better.
Yeah, sweet. So you heard that right, folks. Get to thinking. That's right, indeed. Help your brain live a long time. That's right. Avoid that senility, indeed. That's right, indeed. Avoid telling the kids to get off your lawn. That's right. Oh, man. So, my goodness. So, since you've been on a boatload of these interviews recently, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often?
Let's see. I guess people don't ask me what I do with the money from my books.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Because I believe this book, and maybe the last one, or one of the recent books, they're going to a charity, if I'm not mistaken, right? The
Right.
profits.
So the pre-order money from Strategic Creativity and from the New Art of Ideas, I'm donating my royalties, just what I get from the publisher, to Red Cross for humanitarian relief. But the other money that I get once it's been published, I donate a really good portion to student scholarships to make sure that students who are in need get the money they need to get through college, because my students, at least I would say 99% of them, are working their way through college. Nobody's handing them money. And scholarships are really important. And people think that because public universities are less expensive than private, it's still a huge burden on students. So I really like to use my extra income, which is from books, to help students.
Ah, yeah, that's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. She's giving back, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. She's giving back, indeed. That's right. She cares about the students, y'all. That's right, indeed. Robin loves the kids, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, big and small. That's right. Even those who may have came to college late. That's right, big and small. Robin loves the kids,
Mhm.
y'all. That's right,
Yeah.
indeed.
And that's why I hustle. I mean, people, it's not always nice to think, oh, she's pushing her books, but there's a reason. And it's because I want to give as much as I can.
Ah, sweet. So was someone really nice to you when you went to college for your degrees and helped pay for your tuition? Is that why you decided to give back now? Is that the inspiration behind the giving?
I did get money through the city of New York. I got scholarships through the city of New York, but that was a long time ago, and they had special programs then. So that made it a lot easier for me, because my parents were working and divorced, and it was just tough. And I had been working since I was 13 years old to make money to put towards college. But I see the struggle that my students have, because they do have to work. Some of them have two jobs, and their parents are working and supporting families, and it's not easy. It's really not easy. College costs a lot of money, no matter whether you go to city university, state university, or private. And I just feel for them. I just do. And my own child doesn't have to struggle with it, because she has two parents who can afford it, but a lot of people don't have that. And I want to make sure I can help.
Ah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right indeed. Gotta love those with giving hearts, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right, helping out those in the future. That's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, my goodness. So since the book is right in front of me, so this wonderful book, Strategic Creativity, fun question, we're loving to pop on, folks. So if it was a food, what would it be and why?
Oh, I think it would be pure protein. I think it would probably be eggs. An omelet, an omelet, a really, really good omelet. I'm sorry for those who are vegan. We'll make it tofu, really good soybean tofu. It's just packed with a lot of information that's really good for your brain. So I would say it's in the protein category. Although protein is not my favorite food. I really like sugar, but this book, this book is not sugary. Although it's very easy to read.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's probably, or should I say, it is an excellent read.
Well, one thing about all of my books is that I make it as conversational as I can. I'm not an academic writer. I'm more of a mass media writer. So my books are students say they're easy to read.
Ah, that's good. That's good indeed. So I guess the strategic creativity is the giant 3 dozen eggs slash 3 magical giant boxes of tofu for those who don't like the excellent time. That's right indeed. So does that mean the new art of ideas is a giant wonderful cheesecake? Is that what that is?
Still not sugary. I still think we're in the protein category. Let's say let's say it's rice and beans. Let's say it's a good, nutritious, filling, protein, yummy serving of how to get worthwhile ideas.
That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. All the protein, y'all. That's right indeed. Rob's got you covered with the protein indeed. She knows the way. That's right indeed. For the gym lovers who make those do the protein shakes with the whey protein, they will
Oh, there you go.
appreciate that one indeed. That's right indeed. She knows the way to creativity. That's right indeed. That's right. She's got you covered when it comes to vitamin C.
Oh, I like what you said better. I think I'm going to call it a protein bar. I think that's better. Thank you, Dom. I like that better than rice and beans because a protein bar is very portable, right? So the book is really portable and easy to consume. How's that?
Hey, that'll work. That'll work indeed. We'll take all of it. We'll take all of it. That's right. It could be a rice protein bar. Let me stop.
You might be onto something.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Hey, that's what happens when you spill the beans of what's the good inside of the books, right?
Oh.
Couldn't help myself all down. So my goodness, coming down to the magical question. Actually, before that, my goodness. So since folks sometimes like to throw some salt at the professors every now and then for the entrepreneur space, you'd be like, oh my gosh, professors, they never ran a business. They're teaching about business. So my goodness, I'm pretty sure there've been some setbacks in your life. So what would you consider your greatest setback that actually led to your greatest success?
Setback is when one time I had negotiated a contract for a book with a publisher, and I thought, and I don't like to negotiate. I don't like to talk about money. I'm an artist, writer, that sort of thing, sort of gauche to me. But anyway, I negotiated well, I thought, as well as I could. And I was very excited to write this book. And then 2 weeks later, I get an email saying that they've canceled the contract, that the person who negotiated the contract had offered me too much money and didn't have the authority to do so. I had never heard of anything like this in my entire life. I just thought it was just, that publisher turned out to be really bad news anyway, and I'm glad it didn't work out. And then I went on to LinkedIn, and rather than just sulk, right, and like it seemed there was nothing to do about it, I went on to LinkedIn and looked for other editors to contact. And I did, and I ended up publishing the book with a much more reputable publisher. But that was sort of a like, wow, that was a kick in the head that I didn't expect. And then I think my greatest success are my students. They really are doing extraordinarily well. We get really talented students in the Michael Graves College, and they're out there, commercials that you've seen on TV for Starbucks or the NFL or FIFA or Volkswagen, those are by my students. A lot of Super Bowl spots, a lot of social media work. Just they're out there making great work.
Yes, indeed. Making that great work indeed. That's right, indeed. Hey, even though you didn't like negotiations, sounded like you still won, even though the company couldn't handle your pay. It couldn't pay what you were truly worth at the time for that book, but hey, it all worked out indeed.
Yeah. But that's the lesson, is not to just, walk away with your tail between your legs, right? Just to move forward. And I wasn't going to just let it drop. I just went ahead. And in fact, the book that I have coming out in November, The New Art of Ideas, I had that concept for that book years ago. And I wrote to the publisher. As you probably know, most publishers have a submissions portal where you just write, at info at whatever, Simon and Schuster or whatever the publisher is, those who take unsolicited manuscript ideas. And I didn't hear anything back. It just fell into the slush pile of the void there. And I moved on, I did something else. And then I thought, you know what? That's a really good publisher. I'm going to try again. But this time I went on LinkedIn and I looked for the editors, and I didn't send it to the info at.
Mm-hmm.
And the editor answered me in a matter of 60 seconds. So it's really just, you want something, go for it. Just find a way to get what you want.
Yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. Yeah, them contact pages. Yep, good times. Good times. That's right indeed. It's like, go contact us, folks. We'll respond, maybe.
It's very hard to get publishers to respond, especially for first-time authors. But there are ways to go about it.
Oh, yeah. That's right indeed. So you heard it right, folks. That's right. That's right indeed. The front door ain't always the best option. Sometimes you gotta look through the window and be like, "Hey, buddy, how you feeling?" But don't do it creepy.
Yeah, right. Always on up and up. Always be nice.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh my goodness. I would say to trust my own instincts, not to listen to other people's judgments, but to really trust what I think and do what I think.
That's right. That's right indeed. Trust those instincts, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Trust those instincts indeed. That's right indeed. You may think it's water. That's right indeed, but it could be a whole entire hurricane, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Let's hope it's not that bad. Oh, man. That's right indeed. Trust your instincts indeed. So for those who need to trust their hearing with this great episode and cop some copies of your magical books and keep up with your journey when you publish some more, what's the best way for folks to do so?
They can reach me on my website, robinlanda.com, where they can actually get some swag, some good freebies. And I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere.
Well, hashtag Professor Talk, baby. That's right, indeed. She's on the tick of the talk, y'all. And all the other social medias, indeed. So reach out to the good professor, or should I say, the distinguished professor. That's right, indeed. She accepts golden apples only, y'all. I'm telling you. Golden apples only, darn it. That's right, indeed. And snag some copies of her magical books. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So that way, some of the royalties can go back into her foundation for the kiddos getting their educations, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right.
I
That's
actually
right.
have a colleague who says that. You're making me laugh. Yeah.
Kiddos, education, or both.
I don't wonder. Education.
That's right, the education, y'all.
Mhm.
That's right, the good old classic pop. That's right, indeed. Pops them every time. So, I got us any parting words before we close up shop, Robin?
Make sure your ideas are worthwhile, that they do something for people, for society, for creatures of the planet.
Thanks a bunch for listening to this podcast episode. Hope you really enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to this show if you haven't already, because more greatness is coming your way. And if you're so inclined, be sure to share with at least 3 other people in your network, so that way more folks can catch the fire that is on the Going North podcast. Keep winning at life and advance others to advance yourself.